Hey guys, welcome to the iHearthU King of the Hill. I am Doa, that's Artosis, and we are back again. We're going to see if Thijs can hold on to his King of the Hill spot, or if Strifecro, who is back again, can knock him off. And Strifecro, definitely one of the strongest players in NA, pretty much since like day one of the beta, and it's good to have him back.
It certainly is. You know, it's an exciting day because we're finally starting to reuse some players. You know, Strifecro, he was actually in the very first King of the Hill against Last Shadow. And he did end up losing, but here he is back again to hopefully give a good match against Thijs, who played quite well in that last week.
Yeah, he did. He had a lot of interesting decks and a lot of really good plays, and we've got an interesting matchup for our first game. Now, last week we saw Shaman versus Shaman for game number 1, and we do have a Shaman again in game number 1, but only Strifecro is playing it. We've got the handlock from Thijs, and it's basically normal handlock, only it's got the ooze in there, which is something that we've been seeing pop up a lot on the ladder lately, and it's just getting rid of the weapon is so good. Oh yeah, I made a tweet about it the other day.
Getting hit by ooze nonstop.
Oh yeah, man, like nothing is worse than like thinking you've got the warrior versus warrior 1, and then like a late game, like one card left in their deck, and they ooze your Gorehowl, and you're like, well, I guess he had ooze. Yeah,
can't quite get rid of all that armor now.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of cool. It's you know, just a handlock deck with an ooze. He's skipping Alexstrasza and Draxus, which
a lot of people do that these days.
Yeah, people are too good at this game now. They aren't going to misplay against something like that.
I think so too, man.
But that does mean if Strifecro realizes he's missing those cards, he could end up like extending further into him to get that damage down a little bit lower. Where if they had Alexstrasza Draxus, you'd lose because of that. This could possibly make you win, but it's a really solid deck by Thijs overall.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, Strifecro's got a very solid deck as well. Shaman's very popular right now. And it's just a good kind of solid control-oriented deck, but with a lot of like mid-range punch. And this one has a little bit of burst, but not quite as much as we've seen in some of the other decks. No Wind Fury in this one, but you do still have the Doom Hammer potentially with Rockbiter combo, which is 10 damage. So it does have the ability to do a lot of damage very quickly, but it's mostly just about kind of grinding your opponent down.
It certainly is. If you look at it, right, like for instance, the Azure Drake, the Argent Commander, and the Fire Elemental, those are all card advantage. Every one of them. They either draw you a card or kill something when they come out. So pretty solid there. You know, he's got the Hexes, he's got the Earth Shocks. In Shaman versus Handlock, a lot of times I feel like it comes down to, do you have Earth Shocks for the Twilight Drakes? Do you have Hexes for any quick, like, Mountain Giants? And if you do, it's a really good match, I think, but if you don't, it can be tough.
It's tough to... Sometimes it is kind of tough for Handlock to get a good opening hand against Shaman, because usually you can be like, alright, Twilight Drake or Mountain Giant, and I'm feeling okay, but against Shaman, you really need that Mountain Giant. If you get Twilight Drake, you're like, alright, well, please don't have Earth Shock, but...
If they do have Earth Shock, it's like the suckiest feeling in the world, but if they Hex it, you're like, oh!
Yeah, Hex is okay. It's just the Earth Shock that ruins your day. Yeah, but we'll see what happens. I think I'm ready to go into game number 1.
One more thing I do want to point out, just that I just noticed, I glanced over, and you know, Strifecro, he has this love, I was going to say love, he has this love-love relationship with Harvest Golem, and he's got the Harvest Golems and the Unbounds in this Shaman deck, something that you never really see. Normally it's one or the other, so... kind of interesting there.
Well, I feel like having the Harvest Golems, and also you can extend it a little bit to the Chowind Yetis too. It's just a very NA flair to it, you know, like ultimate value. Like I feel like anyone in NA will put a Chowind Yeti in their deck if they can. They're like, can I possibly put a Yeti in this deck? All right, good. I'm putting it in because I'm from NA. So that's pretty much what happens.
What do you think between these two decks? Who wins this?
You know, you can never deny the strength of the Handlock. Obviously, it's one of the best decks in all of Hearthstone, but I feel like Shaman in general is a good matchup against it. So I'm going to lean a little bit towards Strifecro, but you never know. I mean, Handlock could take it, but I think I got to give a tiny edge to Shaman.
Okay, well, fair enough. Should we get into this now?
We should definitely get into it, guys. It's time for game number 1. Let's get in the game. Alright guys, welcome to game number 1, Strifecro versus Thijs, and let's take a look at the opening hands. Let's see. So none of the 2 big cards that Handlock really wants to have, but he's got a couple turns to draw into it. We'll see. I mean, we're going to have a pretty slow start for both of these players, I think, overall, unless Thijs decides to like throw something out right away, which I guess is possible.
I gotta say, as a Handlock player, you want the slow start. Now, he was considering coining out an early Sunfare, and I think he was considering that just to play like totem removal, but with lightning bolts and rock biters in every shaman deck, probably better that he skips that.
I agree. I mean, I think it's okay, but it's just a little bit too dangerous, and that's what he went with.
Yeah, he has Hellfire, so it's like if the totems get out of control, he just resets.
Oh yeah, of course.
But as far as these hands go, I kind of like it for Thijs. He's got to be able to just chill. There's not going to be that much pressure. I mean, we're going to see a Harvest Golem, then a Chillwind Yeti, and that's pretty good. The board will get built from that, but
yeah.
As long as it's a little bit slow in the early game, Handlock likes that.
Well, Strifecro will get a decent start, but like you said, I mean, with Handlock, you've got time to draw into things, and that's kind of the big part of it, is that you don't necessarily need to have those cards in your opening hand. It's nice, it's comforting, but you've got, like, 3 turns to draw into it, basically. So, what do we do here? Because, I mean, he needs to kind of play something. Do you just toss out a Sunfury, you think?
You might. The thing is,
it's kind of tempting.
Sunfury you do kind of also want to hold on to for...
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's actually just going to go ahead and use that Soulfire, which I guess is fine. There's no cards in his hand he really super needs to keep, and that does allow him to life tap as well. And the thing is, that's going to make his Hellfire more powerful also.
Oh, totally, yeah. I mean, the closer he can get to those Molten Giants is really good. He's also got the Earthen Ring Farseer in case he needs to get a little bit of a health boost before that happens. What's it going to be? 4 mana.
Well, I think it's...
I feel like you just play the Yeti.
Yeah, it's probably pretty obviously the
not,
Yeti, like, unless you really want a totem, which I can't even imagine, but
yeah.
Yeti's kind of hard for him to actually deal with, you know? If
it is.
Anything else, the Hellfire might be a bit more useful, but...
There's not really a lot in Handlock that you can use in conjunction with Shadow Flame, too, against the Yeti, so that 5 health on the Yeti is generally kind of a big problem, yeah. Can't Soulfire it, can't really Shadow Flame it very well. Oh, that was a great draw, though. Perfect. Perfect timing to get that Mountain Giant. I feel like you gotta play it. With 4 damage, with 6 damage on the board already, it's probably not gonna live, but it's kind of like board clear usually at this point.
Well, there is a Hex out, so
yeah, I guess that's true, too.
It's gonna be taken care of easily, but
you gotta play it, though. You gotta play it.
Yeah, sure. You know, it's kind of what we were talking about before, where it's like if you have the Hex when the Mountain Giant comes out, it's quite nice for Shaman, so... Strifecro can do something like Hex Totem and hit him for 4, bring him down to 10 to 20, and have a really solid board with 4 minions. That's really nice.
And I mean, this is kind of what we were talking about going into the game, is that Handlock is strong, but I feel like Shaman, with the removal that they have, just has this little edge.
Well, let's see what Strifecro chooses to do. I do think it's going to be that the Hex attack the Frog token with the 2/1 Golem, attack for 4 and make a totem. It seems like
it would make no sense.
I don't like any other play that much because I feel like the Lightning Bolts just hold those to burn him out at the end, because towards the end you're always going to see a bunch of huge taunts when Molten Giants start dropping out and things like that.
Right. Having that direct damage burst is going to be really good towards the end of it, but it looks like he may be fishing for the Spell Power Totem and he gets it. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's still going to Hex though. All right.
Yeah, I mean you could double Lightning Bolt, but why mana block yourself when you can do an Argent Commander next
I think if you're going to do that, you're going to attack in with the Yeti and then Lightning Bolt for 4. You wouldn't want a double Lightning Bolt, of course, because of the reason you just said, but this is definitely better. I mean, putting some damage on, saving those Lightning Bolts, pretty obvious play. So, all right, well, what are we going to see this turn?
Well, you know, he's got the Earthen Ring that he can get out for some board presence. He's got this, he's got the 4/5 Ancient Watcher, which he could set up into a taunt. I don't really like that as much. I could see something like Earthen Ring plus the Watcher. Yeah. Of course, he does have the Hellfire sitting there. In a perfect world, he'd want the Yeti to hit the 3/3 and then use the Hellfire or something like that. But,
right.
I mean, then if he plays the Watcher, that's a little bit weak.
Well, yeah, I feel with the 3/3, I mean, there's just so many ways that Shaman can get rid of that without having to use our creatures, and, you know, 2 of them are in Strifecro's hand right now. You know, Lightning Bolt and Rockbiter. Well, 2 different cards, I suppose, but yes, 3 of those cards,
Well, looks like he might go ahead and draw cards. Still looking for a little something.
There's Leroy. Okay, well, I mean, if he gets Power Overwhelming later on, he's got the 20 damage combo, but for now, he's got more to worry about.
With that, if he...
I guess maybe, but I kind of like this better. Yeah. You just need to sustain right now, and it's going to get removed, but that's removal, you know, used on you instead of damage used on your face, so I guess it's okay.
Well, let's see here.
You could attack into it, too. We'll see.
Could attack into that. I don't think you want a Lightning Bolt. I feel like the Argent Commander you almost want to come out, but then how do you get rid of this 3/3? Do you hit it with the Yeti and open yourself up for a very valuable Hellfire from your opponent?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, Argent Commander, I don't think you want to lose the Divine Shield on that right away, just because then it becomes vulnerable, like you said, to Hellfire. Yeah. So, I mean, he wants to save the Rockbiter weapon for some big bursts later with, like, Doomhammer, right? But it's kind of tempting to just use that right now to get rid of the 3/3 and just keep your board looking strong.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to like Earth Shock and attack with the 2/1. That'd be a waste of Earth Shock, obviously.
I do have to say, I think this is a pretty hard turn for Strifecro to decide what to do, because you have to assume, especially at 6 mana, that he's going to have some massive AOE coming in, whether it's you know, Hellfire or the card that I always call the wrong card,
Shadow Flame.
Shadow Flame.
Yeah.
I always call it like Demon Fire. I don't know why.
Demon Fire. That's a different one. That's a 2-mana one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It looks like he will run in.
All right.
And you know, this does set up a pretty reasonable Hellfire for his opponent.
Oh yeah.
And in fact, he can do. Oh my God! Wait a minute. If he goes life tap, oh no, that doesn't work. If he goes Hellfire, he can drop the Molten, and that leaves him at 12. But there's a 4-attack minion on the board, and if he doesn't know that there's no Wind Fury in Strifecro's deck, that could spell death. So he's got to be very careful with this turn.
Oh, totally. Yeah, he's already down to 15 health. He doesn't really want to get much lower. It's an interesting turn. I mean, he's got some blocking, but blocking just doesn't mean a whole lot versus Shaman because of the Earth Shocks, because of the Hexes, you know, so...
You know, if he had 1 more mana, you could get himself down to 10, clear the board, and have 2 Molten Smith through top.
Yeah, I know.
It's pretty hilarious, the things that you can almost do with Handlock a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, that's the good thing about the Shaman deck, is that, you know, it deals well with what Handlock brings, the big threats, and it also puts a lot of pressure on throughout the mid-game, too. A lot of damage comes in. And the thing about Handlock is that if you get them down to, you know, this level of health, like before turn 7, you get them in situations like this where they just barely don't have enough. Yeah, and like 15 health is like the magic health for being good against Handlock, I think, because it's not enough to efficiently play your Molten Giants.
Yeah. That's very true. That's oftentimes the number you'll see people dropping.
Right. When I'm thinking about playing against Handlock, like 15 health is where I'm going to get them to around this turn. But all right, he's
it looks like that's game, though.
I guess so. Yeah,
that is very easy lethal right there.
Yep. With the burst, he's got more than enough.
Those lightning bolts really coming in handy here. So it looks like Strifecro going to be able to take game number 1 against Thijs.
That's right. So we'll go into game number 2 and see if Thijs can tie things up. Alright, well, it looks like Strifecro is up 1 game, but Thijs is bringing in the Control Warrior this time, and it's overall pretty standard Control Warrior. A couple little differences here and there. No Faceless. Yes, he's using Harrison. No Cleave. Yes, he's using 2 Armor Smiths. So, but overall, it's... You see all these Control Warrior decks, and there's always a couple cards different, but the concept and the play style is still basically the same.
Yeah, you know, kind of interesting to see Control Warrior being chosen against Shaman, because back in the day, like when Control Warrior first popped up, Shaman was a hard matchup because, you know, you have like all these removal spells, and then like you have 1 minion on the board at a time, and then Totem just really gets you. But I mean, with some of these new changes like Whirlwind plus Azure Drake, the Brawl, the Baron Geddon, it's become a very winnable matchup. So I'm just throwing that out there. Kind of interesting to see the game change so much.
It's still annoying. Like, I mean, I play Control Warrior more than any other deck in Hearthstone, and my least favorite opponent is still Shaman, but it is much more beatable now than it used to be. And man, if you can get a Harrison Jones off on a Doomhammer, you will be like
is there anything better?
Happiest person ever. Yeah, suddenly it turns into Miracle Warrior, and you have like all the cards in the world. So it could, again, I feel like this is a match that could go either way.
Yeah,
I think Thijs is really going to have to show off his Control Warrior skill in this matchup, being very conservative about how he uses his cards, especially like those Whirlwinds and things like that. But it should be a fun game. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I think it definitely could be a very good one. You know, Strifecro, he does have the 2 Hexes, which is like really good against Shaman.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Earth Shock's not going to be as good, like probably going to hit Acolyte, something like that. I don't know, I guess we'll see how this goes.
We will see. Well, guys, it's time to get into game 2 and see who takes it. Alright guys, game number 2, Thijs versus Strifecro. And let's take a look at the starting hands. Alright, looking pretty good for both players, really.
Sure.
Not too bad. Decent enough.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is. I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a slugfest. We got the Harvest Golem,
yeah.
the Feral Spirits. It's going to take a bit to remove everything.
This is another trouble. This is another trouble that Warrior has against Shaman is that you generally can't use very much of your removal efficiently. And, you know, I'm going to take back what I said about the opening hands. Tice could really use an axe or something like that at this point.
You would love to have an axe.
It's a little bit tough, yeah. And especially where he decided to Armor Smith instead of use Armor, that Shield Slam's not going to be quite as helpful. So, could be rough. Could be rough. We'll see.
Well, he's kind of calculating now. Is it worthwhile to try to get rid of Harvest Golem? You know, the Harvest Golem definitely something that could end up killing off the Armor Smith. You don't want to start losing card advantage to Strifecro too early on.
Yeah. I mean...
Yeah, not the really best hand.
The super aggro play is to use that on the Armor Smith, attack the Harvest Golem, and then Whirlwind. You kill the Harvest Golem, you gain a lot of armor, but you leave yourself with 2 very weak creatures. But, you know, honestly, having 1 health creatures against Shaman isn't the worst thing ever because it makes the removal kind of inefficient. So it's actually not too terrible.
He does have that Lightning Storm.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he will lose his Armor Smith if he does do that Whirlwind as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I think skipping the Whirlwind is probably the best play here. But here is Strifecro. I think that you go Lightning Storm, to be honest.
Yeah?
Like...
You give him...
I mean, if
armor.
you don't, yeah, you give him some armor, but it gets rid of both his cards, and then suddenly, like, you still have your damaged golem out there.
And this is kind of why I would have leaned towards the Whirlwind as Tice too, because you know you're probably going to lose both of these guys the next turn. But at least that way you take their creature down with you, you know? But, I mean, I guess if you like... And he wants the Lightning Storm to happen, because that's a lot of overload then that Strifecro needs to deal with early on in the game. But, you know, so it does stall things out. It's kind of... It's tough to say what exactly is the optimal thing there. Oh, and he's going to Feral Spirit. Okay.
Okay, actually, the Feral Spirit's kind of neat, too, because that means he can just kill off the Armor Smith.
Yeah,
It's going to make him gain less armor, and then, of course, you know, these are a little bit difficult to deal with. We could see, like, double shield slam, but is that how you want to use that?
I don't think so. Well, I mean...
you might have to use one.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. It's tough because you really feel bad about Fire Elementals, you know, if you use both your Shield Slams early on against Shaman, so... I don't know, man. I mean, you could Shield Slam one, then attack the other, then Whirlwind to get rid of the other one, but like it's...
that's
I'm
gross.
just... No, I know it's bad, but I'm thinking about ways to clear the board. You know, we're exploring all possibilities here, but it's not good either way.
I like the Shield Slam here.
Yeah.
Because... Strifecro is going to have to totem next turn because he's overloaded twice.
Yeah.
Which means his 2/2 can take out the totem as well. So
True,
like, it kind of negates Strifecro's next turn quite a bit.
You do leave yourself a little bit more vulnerable to Fire Elementals that way, but it may be the best way to go, I suppose. You do also get to armor up this turn too, which is kind of nice, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, I think that this is probably his best play. There was no other real good play there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you do need to kind of do what seems like overextending his Warrior to get rid of some of these early threats and like Shaman and against like Zoo Warlock and stuff like that. And it always feels bad, but you never know. It might pay off, it might not. It depends on your opponent's hand, really.
Yeah, you gotta play with the cards you're dealt.
Yeah, pretty much.
Literally. And it looks like he's going to choose to do Rockbiter as opposed to a Totem because the Totem would just die.
Yeah.
So I don't think that this is even a bad play at all.
No,
May as well. I mean, otherwise he just has a 2/2 sitting out there.
Yep. I agree, and I feel like, you know, you just use both your Shield Slams, you might as well Shield Block,
What are you saving that for?
Exactly, yeah, you might as well use it. That's the thing is, if you're going to use a Shield Slam and you have Shield Block in your hand, a lot of times you might as well just use it if you've got the mana.
Well, you know, Strifecro, no really exciting turn here.
Nope, not really.
Like, do you just Totem or do you play a Defender?
I think you just Totem. I don't think you...
Well,
I don't think you defend around a clean board.
For Strifecro, there's a possibility because Strifecro likes to have minions out that can attack.
He likes that value too. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean you generally don't want to do a move like that. Playing a 4-mana 2/3 is not optimal.
No, not at all.
So
I think the Totem is way better.
Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, then the thing is you've got the Fire Elemental coming next turn, and if you can get a defender onto that, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Even though Execute is out there, you can't play around that too much, you know.
Yeah, well,
it's kind of
just armor up pass, I would say.
I think so too. Yeah, you don't want to use an axe charge on a totem. You never want to use your axe and things like that on totems.
Since you have Whirlwind and Brawl.
Yeah,
there's like no point. But I think playing the axe is totally fine.
It's okay. I mean, there's not a lot of oozes in Shaman, you know.
Generally not, but...
No. I mean, there was like, what, 2 days ago, last couple days on the NA ladder, like everybody had an ooze in every deck, it seemed like. But generally you can assume that people won't have it.
Alright, so here, I mean, Argent or Fire Elemental are both fine. I guess you could go Azure, just because, you know, Azure is kind of a pain to deal with. It draws you another card.
Yeah.
I think all those are totally cool.
I would lean towards Azure just because it cycles and you have something that they need to deal with either way, and you can always save the commander for direct damage later on.
I kind of like the Fire Elemental because if you look at it against a 3/2 Axe Out, there's no clean way for him to deal with it.
I mean, they take more damage. There's always execute, but
it is probably going to get rid of a little bit more armor. But your opponent needs like a slam or something, and then he's going to take 6 more, and you know that's 9 damage total. That's pretty solid.
I mean, if you want them to use removal, though, maybe you just play Argent Commander then, because then that gets rid of some of their armor, and with the Divine Shield, it's going to be annoying to deal with. But Strifecro is going to do neither of those things, and wow, he's actually going to just defend those totems. Okay.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool, actually.
I wasn't really expecting that one, but you know what? That makes good use of his defender, and this... What he just did there was he made it so that this axe is probably just going to trade 2 totems.
Yeah, and he also...
Oh, wow, that was like so... This is... Strifecro is such a good player. Definitely one of the best players in the world, and that move, I feel like, underlines that, because it's like the axe normally is card advantage, right?
You know what
Here, it's killing 2 of his hero abilities.
You know what else he did, too? He prevented a good Baron Geddon as well. He prevented the possibility of a Baron Geddon.
Oh, yeah, a Baron Geddon.
Generally, I mean, it feels good to play that Baron Geddon early against Shaman, because then you can draw like a Hex or something like that as well. So, I mean, yeah, it's good to save with Whirlwind too, but if you get an opportunity like that where you're so ahead on armor, it's nice to kind of put the pressure on.
Yeah,
so he
the
prevented
Baron
that too.
Against any of those other cards would have been good, because the Axe plus Geddon would have killed them all. So that was a really nice turn by Strifecro.
Yeah, it was quite good. Strifecro's always really fun to play. He always does good things that you don't necessarily expect.
Indeed. It looks like he's going to play that Azure. Probably going to totem with this as well, but let's see what he draws. Oh, no.
Which totem will it be? That's the question.
Yeah, of course. It looks like he is planning to attack for quite a bit of damage this turn. May as well start taking that armor off. He doesn't need to really save this card against Warrior because it doesn't have that many minions to deal with. And, of course, he isn't playing Wind Fury or even Alec here. So if he wants to play that Flame Tongue earlier on, it's totally cool. But instead of playing it, he wants to keep not too many cards in the field, it looks like.
I think that's fine. I mean, if you save it for burst in the end, it's pretty good. It's only 2 mana, so you can work it and do a lot of combos. So no reason to put that out there where it's vulnerable just yet. Now, Thijs, let's see. Azure Drake, alright. Makes a Whirlwind pretty
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, and if he... Well, okay, I don't think you want to Armor Smith with this. Although you would gain some decent armor with it.
Yeah, I mean, he could play the Armor Smith. That's...
You know, you might want to, just because there's not going to be a lot of other opportunities for the rest of the game to play it.
To be honest, I think I'd hold it and just armor up instead. Yeah. I don't see a reason to like have it be so low on health.
You're going to get 2 armor either way this turn, whether you Armor Smith Whirlwind or you just armor up. This way, it saves the card in your hand, like you're saying. But it's when you get to this point in the game, though, it becomes a little bit difficult to find a turn to play it. Although it is good with the Kor'kron. That is true.
Yeah, that's nice. Good reason to hold it, let's not forget he plays 2 of them. So
yeah.
Well, I guess he already used 1 of them.
Yeah, it would be a second. Yeah.
Later games, sometimes you can gain a bunch of armor off it when it's important.
Well, what do we have this turn for Strifecro? Let's see.
I would like to see the Flame Elemental this turn. But,
yeah, I would definitely, I think.
He doesn't necessarily have to. Like, this 2-1 Defender of Argus could obviously run into that Drake.
Totem first.
Yeah. Looks like he does want to save it, and especially with that healing totem, that makes this 2-1 Argus worth a lot more because it can start gaining a lot of health.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty good stuff. Alright, well, there's Kor'kron Elite. And so you've got a couple different plays here, I suppose. But honestly, not the cleanest stuff ever, really.
Do you brawl here? I guess is a
Maybe
big question. Like you could go like Armor Smith Brawl to try to get rid of this Fire Elemental, but the thing is that's kind of like card disadvantage.
You could also Kor'kron attack through and Brawl as well. You've got enough mana, and it's putting down Armor Smith and not gaining any armor from it always kind of hurts. The question is he's like, all right, I know there's another Feral Spirit in Strifecro's deck. I'm going to need something to get rid of that, and I've already used 1 axe, so you may want to save the Kor'krons, but he's just going to do this. Okay, and armor up as well. All right.
Oh, you know what? I do like that play. He gets rid of a minion. You know, that's gonna be. You have to use a card no matter what, basically, to get rid of this 4/1.
Yeah.
He might throw the Fire Elemental into it, just because it will gain a health over the turn, so it can't die to this 1/4.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Of course, he does have that Flame Tongue Totem still. Let's not forget about that. He can clear this board very easily.
Yeah, I don't know about that play from Thijs, honestly, because with your opponent's hand being so good or so big, you know they've got a lot of ways to deal with things. So I don't know, just kind of throwing some creatures out there. You kind of feel like you're going to end up with nothing at the end of the turn, and they're going to still have their 6/5. It's hard to force someone to trade with a hand like that.
It's so often the way when you play against Shaman.
Oh, yeah. It's
in
so
these later
frustrating.
turns, if Shaman has high health, it's really hard to do too much because, as we were talking about before, all their minions are card advantage.
Yeah. And I mean, it does save for a bigger brawl later on. And he's still got 8 armor to work with, too. So it's okay. We'll see how it works out. But
I wonder if you end up killing this Armor Smith with the 6/5, or do you go after armor itself?
yeah, I don't know.
I think, you know, I think it's safer to probably just go ahead and kill it. He's got like so many minions to actually end up taking this game down. So yeah, I like it because that's going to heal up anyways. So it makes it so execute is not even proc.
Yeah.
Pretty solid play here. And
Yeah,
that's a strong board there from Strifecro.
Well, the big thing is not giving him that execute opportunity. That's definitely true. Oh, well, all right. You could always Alexstrasza, but it's just going to immediately die.
Yeah, Brawl seems pretty solid here.
I think so. I think so.
I think a Brawl into Korkron is really nice, especially if it leaves like a totem.
Definitely.
Just laugh for days.
Definitely. And it also deals with that Divine Shield pretty cleanly, too. And I think you have to Brawl here.
Yeah, there's so much quality on that board. If you play Alexstrasza, 100% dies.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's
just gone.
You're going to do damage.
Probably save that for the old 1/2 Alexstrasza into a Grow Mash later on.
Yep. So, you just have to cross your fingers and hope that Fire Elemental doesn't survive it. That's kind of the thing.
Yeah, that's the only one that you really don't want to live.
You can still get rid of it with the Execute, even if you Cork Run into it, but that's just a really disgusting play to have to make.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to spend 3 cards to clear this board.
No.
I think spending 1, even if the 6/5 remains, maybe just leave it.
Yeah?
Maybe.
Would you still play the Cork Run and just go to face at that point, or would you just armor up and call it a day? He's got
going
enough
to
armor.
face when you have the Alexstrasza may not be the greatest.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I might save the Korkron at that point. Oh, he's looking like he wants to actually Alexstrasza here.
Interesting. All right.
I didn't expect him to actually end up doing that.
There's a lot of taunting potential over on Strifecro's side, especially because that one Feral Spirit's still in his deck, and I mean, Thijs should be card tracking, and he should know this. So yeah, a little bit of a surprising play there.
Well, you know, obviously he has that Hex in hand. Definitely could be what he chooses to use against this.
Yeah.
He does have 2 spell power as well, so that Lightning Bolt does a lot of damage at the moment.
Well, again, with a hand this big, there's just infinity ways to deal with pretty much everything that Thijs plays, and that's, again, Warrior versus Shaman. This is why it's not the greatest matchup for Warrior.
Well,
You have ways to deal with it, but they're all very specific, and it's hard to get the card combinations you need at like the exact time you need them.
You know, I think he's looked at this situation and decided that no matter what, his Alexstrasza will die once he plays it.
Yeah.
So he's playing it out to draw more cards out for Strifecro so that his Brawl is even more powerful. And as we see, this has actually worked because now he's played another totem, and here's another totem, and this is making the Brawl actually significantly better than it would have been the turn before. And his life total doesn't even matter right now. Like 27, totally fine.
It's pretty incredible, really, when you think about it, because I mean,
it's like a really good play.
Yeah. Because you can kind of bet that Strifecro is going to be saving the Hex for Ragnaros, which is you know what Thijs just threw over there. There's a Brawl.
Well, all the good
so
stuff's
patient
gone.
with that Brawl.
He keeps a 1/1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a super patient Brawl. I gotta hand it to Thijs. That was a fantastic play.
I was getting so worried, man. I was getting so worried, but now he's just got the one
Yeah.
unshielded Argent Squire to deal with. So good.
If you look at everything here, right, it's this is actually really quite nice. He gets to go to face now.
Yeah.
Right now, Strifecro is very, very low. It was looking terrible for him. Strifecro had such a strong board, but saving that extra turn, they're much closer in card amounts, and he's got Strifecro almost into lethal range now.
Yeah.
Very, very close. He just needs to draw like the right card or maybe get the right rag hit.
Well, that Brawl, wow.
That Brawl.
He was so patient with it. That's a really good lesson for Control Warrior players out there, too. I mean, it's just to kind of fight the temptation to Brawl early.
You have to save it. It's the game winner against Shaman. That plus Baron Geddon, the 2 really important cards in the deck against a Shaman deck that fills the board up with all these little minions that may not be too useful, but all together are pretty scary.
I mean, you're always running that risk to lose to Burst, but I feel like I just learned a very valuable lesson in Control Warrior versus Shaman there. That's cool.
Quite impressive.
Yeah. All right, well, got the pretty much the turn we expected. You know, just playing some taunt, not wanting to give Tice the opportunity to burst him down. And what's it going to be?
Well...
All right. Interesting. Yeah.
There's... You know,
YOLO rag, I guess.
YOLO rag.
That's kind of about it. I mean.
Yeah. This is kind of gross. Like 3 taunts out.
Yeah.
Realistically, he needs like.
Shaman.
I don't even know what he needs. Like, no one card deals with this board.
He needs Whirlwind Baron Geddon right now is what he needs, but he doesn't.
He needs to somehow draw both those cards next turn.
Yep. I mean, 4 cards in hand. There's 1 Hex out there still, so Ragnaros. You know, Tice knows that Ragnaros probably isn't going to do a whole lot.
God, yeah, this is... It's
you
kind
may
of a
want
gross
to just
turn.
Yeah, you may want to just drop the Acolyte and armor up and be like, well, I'm still at 29 effective, but I don't know.
I don't like that one. Like,
what do you do though? I mean,
yeah,
even
no,
if
all
you
of these
even if you
suck.
play like, there's literally nothing good for him to do this turn. Like, even if he plays Dromash and kills one of the 2/3s, like it's gonna get hexed. It's gonna get killed. You know what I mean?
So would Rag, and if Rag hits, like,
I think this is the best play. You just do that and armor up, and you're like, well, Warrior versus Shaman.
It seems so.
Yep.
And the thing is, he might just end up killing it with a wolf. You know.
All right. Well. I mean, if he hits face, that's.
I guess that would be good,
he
right?
He wants to hit one of those 2.
Oh,
all right,
there you go. All
right,
worthwhile.
Still, though, I mean, it doesn't really make it any more difficult for a Shaman to get rid of Ragnaros. I mean, you know the Hex is out there. You don't know it's in their hand, but you can always.
Well, he hasn't used one yet, right?
A pessimist like me will always assume it's in there. And there, see, now I'm justified.
I guess so.
Yep.
But all right, he deals with it. He plays down his Yeti. Strifecro still doing pretty well here. Tice, even though, you know, he's gotten a reasonable Rag hit, he did draw that out. His hand's still not the most exciting thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
No, Harrison Jones is a great card versus Shaman, but not right now.
Yeah, not the most useful at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, playing it out, maybe it can get rid of a minion, but I think he maybe wants to hold on to it because he needs to get some cards drawn.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that...
Maybe Acolyte armor up this turn. There's not a lot of options for Tice.
Like, if he plays Harrison Jones, too, the Yeti just kills it, you know? I mean, and he still has the 2/3 taunts out. So it doesn't really improve his board position to play Harrison Jones.
Well, it looks like he's going to play the Acolyte. At least this makes it so he's going to be able to draw an extra card if he does do that. Oh god, I do not want to see him play Dromash.
No. That's kind of like giving up the game, because he's already used all his other big plays. If Dromash is dead, then there's just no way you can do enough damage with Warrior.
You need to save him as a finisher almost every game.
He still has Baron Geddon in his deck somewhere. You know, if he can...
That's true, and when he draws that, it's going to be very powerful. And
it will be, if he has a way to get rid of the extra health on those taunt minions. And Big Game Hunter, not the best draw ever.
It would have been even worse if he had just drawn that.
Yep, totally.
But at least he gets to draw 1 extra card to do that Acolyte. We'll see what it is.
And this is why you run 2 brawls against him. That's right.
Is that why
That's
you do
the reason, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just a pretty common sight against Shaman if you're playing Control Warrior. You know,
this sucks.
It's so hard to remove everything they have, you know? They just get way too much stuff out and so much taunting.
And the thing is, like, the big game, it can't really hit anything. You know, if there's like a Fire Elemental, you could use that in conjunction with this Cruel Taskmaster. He wants the Cruel to make the Grommash work, but there's so many taunts, he can't get through them.
I mean, I think he played well, but in the end, Shaman just has that edge against Control Warrior. Even though Control Warriors have definitely gotten better at playing against Shaman.
I wouldn't count him completely out yet, just because, you know, if he draws Baron Geddon, there's still a way out of this.
Is there really? Because it's not even going to kill that much stuff. It's going to kill his totems, and that is really about it.
Well, I mean, if he plays Cruel Taskmaster on the Yeti and executes it and armors up, he's not going to die for a while. And with that guy out there, then suddenly we start seeing something's going to have to run into the Cruel Taskmaster if he wants to kill it, which makes the possible top decking of a Baron Geddon a little bit better at least.
Yeah.
Because then it's going to kill a wolf as well. It's going to get rid of a couple totems and divine shields.
It's your best chance, but
yeah,
I'm a Warrior versus Shaman pessimist.
You certainly are. I can see. And looks
Big
like he wants to
Game.
play Big Game Hunter. I think that would actually be a totally fine play, just
Me
because
too.
it seems like he knows what's in this deck, and using the Cruel Taskmasters means the odds of anything having 7 attack or more are very low.
Yeah, well, Lightning Storm.
Lightning Storm,
Yep.
indeed. That would be
Hey,
probably
there's
the
no
optimal
Hex.
play
Yeah.
here.
I would say so. Yeah.
I love how, by the way, Strifecro is just really making sure he fills the entire board up.
Yeah.
After we saw the one brawl go away.
Gotta do it. Yep.
Oh boy, it's
Yeah.
a tough one here. We'll see what he draws. Not too sure what it could be here.
I'm shedding a tear.
That's not it.
A
He
tear
has to
for
play
warriors
Grommash.
everywhere. Yeah.
Has to play Grommash.
Yeah, he has to try to get rid of something.
Get rid of a wolf. Screw it. The thing is, there's a Hex out. It looks like Strifecro just can't lose from here.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, if that many taunts come out and you don't get that Baron Geddon Whirlwind combo, it's nearly impossible to break through that front line of Shaman, and this is just kind of what we're seeing. And we were a little bit surprised by the choice of Warrior versus Shaman to begin with.
Yeah.
But I think that we made a good point before the game that there are ways that Warriors can deal with Shaman.
Yeah, yeah.
The problem is that they're just very, very specific ways.
To be honest, Tice had a kind of weak opening hand.
It was a rough
and
hand too, yeah.
It didn't really improve all that much. He
No.
didn't really draw the cards that he needed. Like, the Brawl was fantastic. I think he
Yeah.
played it, like, really expertly.
Well,
but at the end of the day, like, Strifecro has every answer, and he's played this game phenomenally as well.
Yeah, it's Brawl, Whirlwind, Baron Geddon, and versus Strifecro. It makes it tough. I actually, for a couple days, was running 2 Cleaves in my Warrior deck on the ladder because there were so many Shamans, and you needed to make that change, you know? Took them out as soon as I could, but, like, still.
Well, let's see here. The Hex, obviously going to come down, pop that little frog and attack for a bunch,
Yep.
and that makes...
What else does Strifecro think that Tice has in his deck exactly?
Oh, he's saving the Hex because this
Yeah.
is so easy to deal with.
Alright, I mean,
That's interesting.
value.
If only he could draw Whirlwind and,
Yes.
Baron Geddon.
If only he could. Oh, there's Baron Geddon. Too bad.
That would bring him down to 13, and there would still be left 2,
Too bad.
7, 8,
Well, here's
9 damage.
I mean, you Baron Geddon an Acolyte at this point, so at least you.
Well,
draw
no,
a
I
card.
think you have to armor up if you do that, because otherwise you're going to die.
Yeah.
Because there will still be like 9 damage on the board.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what this does for him. Like,
If he wins this game, it's going to be
If he wins this
incredible.
game,
but I just
it'll be pretty crazy.
Well, there's a Hex. I mean, Baron Geddon is his last big creature.
Mm.
How many axes does he have? Has he used either of his axes yet?
Yeah, he used...
Used one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you mean
that's
the
what I
Rock
thought.
Fighter, right?
No, I was talking about Tice.
Oh,
Fairy
yeah,
War Axe,
no, he hasn't
I don't
drawn
think he's
a
used
Fairy
any
War
axe
Axe.
yet. So he has both axes and he has Gorehowl. I don't think he's going to live long enough to use them.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that
He's got the
way.
Lightning Bolt. I think that's just...
Oh yeah, he has
just
spell
it.
power. Okay.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Sorry. Anyways,
Well.
wow, that was a long one and a tough one.
That was a really painful one. That's a rough loss to take. We'll see if Tice can come back. He's down 2 games. It's going to game 3. Alright guys, we are back for game number 3 between Strifecro and Tice, and it looks like it's time to beat Shaman with Shaman. If you can't beat him, join him, I guess, right?
Yes, that's what I always say.
Yeah.
Well, to take a look at how these 2 decks match up, I do want to point out 2 Lightning Storms versus 1 here. Tice does have the lead in that, so he's going to be a little bit easier to clear the board for him.
There's a lot more burst as well in Tice's, of course. I mean, he's got Leroy, he's got Wind Fury, he's got a lot more ways to do a lot of damage very quickly.
He's got the Lava Burst.
He's got the Lava
The
Burst
real
as well,
burst.
too. Yeah, the actual card with the word burst in it. Yes, that's true. So, in terms of Shaman versus Shaman, I do have to give the edge to Tice here. So, we'll see if he can. He really needs a win. I mean, if he loses this game, he's like one loss away rather from getting knocked off. But
which, by the way, I mean, this is Strifecro. You get just destroyed by Strifecro. What can you say, man? He's been one of the top players in the world at Hearthstone since the game came out.
if you're gonna like lose 4-0 to somebody in Hearthstone, Strifecro is one of the better people to be 4-0'd by. You're like, well, it was Strifecro, so that's
That's a good point. Who do you think on this one?
I think Tice. I think Strifecro's really good, but I think if the hands are even, you know, if the draws go, you know, even between these 2 players, I think Tice has a little bit of an edge because of the deck.
Okay.
But we'll see.
You know, I think it looks to me like Strifecro's deck is like more consistent. But yeah, I mean, does he have enough taunts to deal with something like a sudden Leroy Wind Fury out of nowhere? It's hard to say. So
yeah.
I could definitely see it going either way.
Yep.
But it should be a good one.
I
hope that Tice wins, to be honest, because I don't want to see Strifecro just 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see more games. The more the merrier, right? So I think it's time to get into game number 3, and we'll see if Tice can start the comeback, or if Strifecro put himself one game away from taking the King of the Hill this week. It's time. Alright, time for game number 3 between Strifecro and Tice. It's Shaman versus Shaman. Two very different Shaman decks, though. And we'll see which comes out on top. Let's see. Looking at the starting hands, what do you think?
Okay, so I guess with Tice, I mean, he has some good removal in there. Over on Strifecro's side, I guess they're kind of similar in strength, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
We'll see what he ends up getting out. You play the axe and start going to town on totems. You play your own totem. Shaman versus Shaman. This is a matchup I haven't played in a while.
Yeah, wow, I can't remember the last time I played Shaman versus Shaman. I haven't played Shaman in general for a very long time.
Now, if Strifecro plays the Wolves, unfortunately for him, there's a Lightning Storm already in hand.
Yeah, and with a Spell Power Totem out like that, it's pretty good for Tice.
You just have to do it. This is exactly like a move you absolutely must do, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting you just drew that Unbound, but no,
well, you can't play the Unbound because it's just going to die, so... Yeah, I think you do want a Lightning Storm here.
It's kind of funny. These Shaman cards just kind of equaling each other out.
Yeah.
Well, he does decide to play that Unbound. Now, if this Unbound lives, he will be in the sickest position. But the thing is, even if it lives, the totem should die, right?
It's not going to live.
No, I would be very surprised if it lived, for sure.
There's so many ways that Strifecro could and should deal with it.
Yeah, I think probably a Rock Biter onto one of his Wolves and then just remove the totem and the Unbound?
Yep, he could even Earth Shock the Unbound and then just attack into it with one of his wolves, keep the wolf alive, and then kill the other totem too, and still have both of his taunt wolves.
Oh, wait a minute, yeah, that's a really good way to do it, for sure.
Oh, this works too. I mean, again, you keep everything alive, you get your Flame Tongue out there, and you still get some damage to face, so...
Yeah, this is looking pretty good for him right now.
Yeah.
Now, I think what we're going to see is a Blood Mage coin into that Lightning Storm.
Yes.
You can't let this board remain.
Yep, and that's I really like the Blood Mage in this deck too, because it does make that Lightning Storm so much stronger. It's a little bit, it feels early to use something like this, but if you don't deal with this board right now, the game is kind of like already out of control, you know?
It certainly would be. That's a lot of incoming damage for next turn 8, and the thing is, Shaman never really has life gain, so you got to watch out for that.
Yeah, and what else do you really do? You know, if you look at Tice's hand, like what else do you really play here?
No, nothing.
Yeah.
You really have to do that, or Strifecro is going to get way too far ahead. But
that's the worry.
It's nice that he has that backup. Actually, now that I think about it, because when we were talking about it before, it seemed like a Lightning Storm. But when you when you have the coin and that Blood Mage, this is a great backup plan just in case he does deal with things.
It is. I'm just surprised that Tice thought there was a possibility that he wouldn't deal with it. You know, doesn't it seem like
even if it's a low chance, they're going to commit another card, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it works out.
He did draw out the Flame Tongue Totem that way, so I mean, if it's worth it to trade a Flame Tongue Totem for an Unbound Elemental, then I guess it's an okay trade.
Now here, Strifecro is in kind of a hard spot. He wants to play Azure Drake, but if he does, a Lightning Bolt easily kills it, whereas the Earthshock can get rid of this this Blood Mage without drawing a card.
Yeah.
I feel like I might go Azure here, just because otherwise it's like Earthshock Totem. And is that a good turn?
I don't know. I mean, it denies the card draw, which is nice, and I mean, there's not a whole lot of other Earthshock targets in Shaman versus Shaman, so I think
he has to, actually.
I think it's not bad.
Because Tice is going to go into 5 mana next turn, which means, and he is a little bit overloaded, but the 6 drops is what you have to look out for. So if you were to play Lightning Bolt on that Azure Drake, then his turn 6, he's not going to drop a Fire Elemental, he's not going to drop an Argent Command or anything like that. I think that the Azure Drake is a really good play here from Strifecro.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
He's like, nope, I'm going to Wolves.
Yep, he's just going to go ahead and Earthshock it. I kind of like this, actually, because you deny the card draw again, you get rid of the spell power, and you
know what this means? Is that he must be saving that Fire Elemental to actually kill off Wolves of his opponent.
The other thing, too, is that it still doesn't really... Well, I guess it does kind of hurt his turn 6, but at least he's got turn 7.
Yes. Indeed.
All right, well, let's see. This, or Tice, he's got a couple different options here.
Yeah,
None of them are the greatest.
Considering a few, there's...
Yeah.
No, it's a kind of dirty turn. What are you going to do, though?
I guess you kind of... Maybe just wolves. Yeah. Could totem lightning bolt one of his,
wolves,
but
he still can't play that Drake next turn, which kind of sucks. But
yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, his hand is a little bit more clunky. You know, especially that Wind Fury. That card is like a card that's just not going to be useful for a while.
Yeah, the curve kind of threw things off a little bit. You know, that's the thing is having to use that lightning storm one turn later. It kind of threw him off big time as far as the Azure Drake goes.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. All right, so for Strifecro here, all right, draws a Flame Tongue. He's obviously going to remove this totem with only 4 mana. It's like, I mean, I guess he can play a Flame Tongue totem.
Yeah, you can, and you can also play another totem besides that, such as that one.
Yes, the Searing Totem.
Searing Totem, yeah. Good old Searing Totem.
Played a lot of Shaman in the beginning of Hearthstone.
Oh yeah, so, I played a lot of Shaman in World of Warcraft. And a lot of Shaman in the beginning of Hearthstone as well too.
Alright, so it does clear the board, and Strifecro maintains that board advantage that he's so well known for.
Yep.
Tice, on the other hand, here with 5 mana, he can play the Azure, but it dies to a Wolf token. That's not ever any fun.
No, that's not so good.
He could play. No, that's not. I mean, he can do something like Unbound plus Axe, but that's not that exciting either.
Well, it pushes the Unbound out of range to be killed by the totem, but it doesn't push it out of range of being killed by anything else. So, I think you just add the Drake here, and you're gonna lose it right away, but you get to cycle and you get to make them use something, you know.
And it's gonna give you an unoverloaded next turn, which is always nice as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he draws a Fire Elemental, suddenly he's in pretty good shape. So I think he's looking to the future, and that's a good way to kind of view things in the game right now. So let's see.
You're gonna remove this Azure. For sure.
Obviously, yeah.
For sure, remove the Azure.
For sure, the Azure.
Probably, I would imagine he plays.
For sure.
I want to see him play his own Azure, attack with the Wolf token into the Azure of Thice, and then just make another totem. Because then he has 4 minions out, one of which is a Flame Tongue totem. He'll have minions on both sides as well. And that's something that, Thice is probably going to feel like he has to deal with right away.
So his own Azure will ensure the removal of the Azure for sure, is what you're saying.
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with for sure removing the Azure, but he definitely is going to remove the Azure.
What's that called when, like, you just have a lot of words that end the same?
I don't know. Alliteration at the end?
Oh, yeah, I think that's right, yeah.
But alliteration is like at the beginning sounds, right?
I was not an English major. I just talk a lot.
Oh, okay, so he's actually setting up massive damage for the next turn.
Yep, certainly is.
Okay, so that's a little bit different.
Yeah, well, it's...
But,
I think it's hex time.
That has to be dealt with,
yeah.
He's not just making an uncomfortable situation, he's making a situation that has to be dealt with.
Yeah. And how do you deal with it? I think you hex 8/5. I think that seems pretty...
Seems right.
if you don't, though, I mean, he's tempted to maybe just go Unbound into Feral Spirits, too. Because you get the buff, you get the blocking, then you have to worry about Lightning Storm, I guess, but,
I mean, he could
decisions.
If he... What I'm starting to think about maybe a move like a Hex, an Unbound, and an Earthshock.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that could be alright. Yeah. Because the Earthshock obviously is going to bring that guy down on his attack, and if you do drop the Unbound, that's at least you can start removing stuff on Strifecro's side of the board and maybe start fighting back finally.
Yeah, I kind of do like the Feral Spirits instead of the Unbound, though. Because it's going to draw more removal out of your opponent's hand unless they have a Lightning Storm, which Thice doesn't know. But okay, it's just going to do that.
Yeah, I do prefer that a little bit, because now he can power that up with his own Feral Spirits and the Axe, and then attack for like 4.
If it were to live, which it won't.
Well, we'll see if he plays the Azure for sure to get that spell power to kill it off. Because that for sure would ensure
the Azure for sure
to kill the Unbound.
Yes, that's right.
It's getting complicated here.
It is. Okay, well, there you go.
Alright, a pretty obvious turn here for Strifecro.
Yep. A shaman with all the answers. Oh, hi, Leroy.
Well, he's not the answer right now for him, but he does have the Leroy Wind Fury combo.
He does.
If he can take this board over, that's going to be really nice.
It's 12 damage if he can get through. That will take Strifecro down to 18.
Well, I think he saves it for the end.
Yeah, probably.
You know, I think the Stormforge Axe has to be played, and I would play a Feral as well. The thing is, that is 3 Overload, which will bring him to 6 mana. So, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
Having 6 mana left over is pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
And then he can get a totem out as well, right? Yeah, 5, 6, 7. So
it can at least start clearing, you know, the totem, the frog, things like that.
Yeah.
How can a frog taunt, by the way? Like, how is this a blocker?
look at him.
How is this?
You wouldn't attack that if you saw that.
Like, it's not even like a tiny agile frog that can like jump in front of arrows or something. It's like a fat frog that's just sitting there. You just step over it and you're
the
like,
thing
well,
is,
you're annoying.
I look at that frog. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, I actually would have played. I would have attacked the frog totem, just so if he totems next turn, he can't get the taunt totem.
Exactly. Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
maybe that makes it so he can't get spell power totem, but. Oh
Yeah.
god, there's a lightning storm in Strifecro's hand.
Yeah, there is.
Oh my god, and he has a spell power Drake.
Yeah.
Oh god.
See, and this goes back to a couple turns ago where I would have preferred to use Feral Spirits early on to draw out something like that, and then you unbound Feral Spirits later on.
Strifecro's gonna laugh for days. Watch this. This is like so gross. Oh my god.
GG.
And he's even gonna play his other injury. He's just got so much power out there.
Yeah. Well, that's about that.
Is Strifecro just gonna 4-0 Tice?
Well, I mean, he's gonna 3-0 him at least. That's for sure. I don't think there's really any way that Tice can come back from this.
Well, the thing is, that's a lot of damage out there, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much over. I mean, he can Rockbiter himself and kill the last 2-3 totem. You could kill the frog if he wanted to for a little bit of vengeance. A little bit of amphibian vengeance. Yeah. Didn't even get his own taunted
I am
totem.
not liking this position, man.
No.
Like, I guess
16.
Leroy right now is 18 damage, right?
Yeah.
If he can get through.
Let's see, 10 plus 6 is 16, so he's got enough. He's got lethal, yeah. Rockbiter plus Lightning Bolt plus 10 on the board. And that is going to bring Strifecro to a 3-0.
Wow.
So 1 game away from knocking Tice off of his position as the champ for IRTU King of the Hill. And, wow, crazy stuff. We'll see if Tice can start the comeback. Alright guys, well, Tice, our current champion on the IRTU King of the Hill, is about to maybe not be that anymore, because Strifecro is up 3-0. It's looking kind of rough for him, but, you know, we'll see if he can make the comeback. He's bringing in a very interesting Druid deck. You know, you and I were discussing this a little bit. It's kind of like the older sort of mid-range Druid with a little bit of ramp thrown in.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's got the Savage Roar and Force of Nature combo. You know, it's got Karn in there. It's got a Rag in there.
Yeah, but it's still got stuff like Harvest Golem, which is interesting, and Stampeding Kodo, even one of them.
And he's playing those Wild Growths and the Wild. So I mean, yeah, it's kind of interesting. It looks like it's just a solid and good deck.
Argent Commander as well too. So interesting stuff. But I mean, I feel like it matches up pretty well against Shaman. I still liked his last deck a little bit better, but he just didn't get a very good draw. And kind of got behind in the mirror, which is never great. But this one, too, I think has a pretty decent shot against Strifecro. But Strifecro is just looking unstoppable.
Well,
I mean,
he's playing just fantastically, and he's having every answer he needs at every moment.
It is, yeah.
As far as the matchup goes, you know, I feel like this matchup of Shaman versus Druid is like one of the classic matchups of Hearthstone, where it's like either deck absolutely can win here. These decks both do fine against each other.
It's also a classic Warcraft matchup, man, too. The Earthen Ring versus the Cenarian Circle. Yeah.
If you say so. The Earthen Ring is shamans, aren't they?
Yeah, a bunch of shamans, yeah.
Yeah, because Earthen Ring Farseer looks like a shaman.
He is a shaman, it's true. And the Cenarian Circle, Cenarius,
I'm learning my stuff. Yeah,
head guy in Druid's right. Yep. We gotta play more WoW.
We do.
A little more.
Definitely.
It's fun.
Alright, so I mean, I think that definitely this Druid deck does have what it takes, though.
Yeah,
we'll have to see how the draw is going.
I hope so. I mean, I love Strifecro, but I don't want to see a 4-0. I want more games, so go Tice.
Go Tice.
No bias, go Tice. All right. Alright guys, it is time. It is kind of the moment of truth for Tice, and Tice versus Strifecro, our reigning King of the Hill champion, may get knocked off right here. Oh, but he's actually able to innervate out a Harvest Golem on turn 1, which is pretty awesome, unless your opponent has an Earth Shock. But it's still okay, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine, I guess.
It's
the thing is, he's going to wait on that, because he can play Unbound or the Harvest Golem, and end up killing off this Harvest Golem all the way.
Yep,
Now, with that Wrath, of course, he's going to be able to clean up whatever's left if these minions trade as it seems they should. It's kind of funny, though, because with using that Innervate, if he doesn't get any value out of this Golem, look at the hand sizes.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit scary.
He's got a little bit of damage in. We'll see what he can do. Alright, so this turn he could Wrath and then kill the other token. He may just decide to play the second Golem, I suppose, too, although that would make him a little bit vulnerable to things like Lightning Storm, but... I guess you might as well do it. Because even if they do Lightning Storm, then they're really overloaded, which is something you can kind of take advantage of.
Well, I want to see Thijs not try to control the board, but rather put on more pressure right now, because he's got like such an expensive hand.
I agree completely, and I mean, you've got such a safe late game with the amount of taunting that usually shows up in Druid decks that you can afford to be aggressive early and make them deal with your board, and then come back with a hard-to-deal-with board yourself late game.
Well, it looks like, I think we're going to see a Totem here, and then probably Earth Shock plus Golem to kill one of the Golems.
I think so. Oh, Taunting Totem, alright.
Yeah, his Golem's actually going to gain a little bit of value here, being able to, like, alley-oop these Harvest Golems into Earth Shock range.
Right, alley-oop. The Golem's known for their great basketball skills.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And looks like he's actually going to be able to kill off this Golem as well. This is very nice. So he gets to draw a card off this Wrath and uses Hero Power.
Yep.
So actually works out pretty well for Thijs overall. And look at this. You know, we're getting into the later turns.
Not bad.
Strifecro really doesn't have board advantage, which, you know, he's never happy with a situation like that.
Interesting choices here. Can always just drop the Yeti. He's
or he could go Unbound Lightning Bolt. That's a possibility as well.
He could. You know, and the thing is, where a Wrath was just shown, and he's checking it again, I think actually Unbound into Lightning Bolt would be pretty good, because the chance of your opponent...
Yeah, how does he deal with that after using a Wrath?
It's possible, but it's much more remote since you've already seen a Wrath played. But he's going to go for the safest play possible and just go for the Chillwind Yeti instead.
Yeah, this is going to help him to keep that Unbound alive a little bit later on.
Thijs can just respond with his own Yeti if he wants to. I mean,
Yeti versus Yeti.
I think that's probably the best move here.
There was a time, once upon a time, where it was just Yeti versus Yeti all day long in Hearthstone.
It's true. It's true.
Oh my, how we've grown.
Ah, yes. I mean,
and then regressed once again.
Well, it's the great circle of life. Or, I mean, the circle of the meta is what I meant to say there, right? But the meta life, sort of the same thing.
Alright, so now Strifecro. What does he want to end up doing here? He does have this Flame Tongue Totem, so a possibility of going ahead and killing that. I don't like that move, actually, now that I say that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like
gross.
Yeti trading, but I don't think anyone really wants to do that.
No.
Well, let's see. He could still Unbound into Lightning Bolt, but that would leave it vulnerable to the Yeti.
Would it? Because if he goes Unbound, Lightning Bolt's the Golem, and then attacks the damaged Golem that sprouts up with his own Yeti, then that's kind of like a messy board to deal with, because he's going to have a 5 health guy and a 3 health guy, and that's...
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, none of that gets dealt with.
I like that.
He'd have to have a swipe to make that work out well for him.
Yeah. Okay. But he's just going to make a totem instead.
Yeah. In fact, yeah, that would line up Strifecro's board a little bit too well into a swipe.
Yeah. Let's be honest, Strifecro knows much better about what to do than we do.
Well, Strifecro is just so good. I learned so much from Strifecro. He's really a smart, good player.
Strifecro's like head is like Doctor Who's TARDIS, man. It's like huge on the inside. A lot of brain in there.
I don't know this what you're talking about.
You know, like the phone booth that Doctor Who. Like,
I don't know Doctor Who.
It's just like a normal phone booth. When you go inside it, it's like this big, like ship sort of device that travels through time.
Oh, okay.
A lot more room on the inside. I'm saying Strifecro's got a normal size head, but then the brain inside is gigantic. That's the analogy.
I gotcha.
I'm going to
measure his head next time I see him, and I will let you know on that.
I haven't met him in person, but just looking at pictures, he looks like he has a fairly normal size head.
It looks like a normal size head.
Doesn't look too big, doesn't look too small.
Probably
normal
a little bit more on the big side, just because he is so smart. I would imagine. Just, you know, big head, big brain.
I guess so. But remember...
That's why my head's just so big.
It's a little bit of a larger head.
Yeah.
Or is that just because the rest of you is so skinny?
Who knows?
That's the question.
It's the eternal question. All right, so he actually decides to get rid of that Yeti there. Really wants to play board control against Strifecro. So kind of interesting to see. That's going to allow him to play his Ancient of Lore and be able to draw a couple cards next turn and be a little bit safer about it, which is neat.
Oh yeah, for sure. Strifecro as well, just kind of deciding how he wants to deal with this. He's got a lot of different options here.
Yeah, it's like maybe Totem, Earth, Unbound rather, Lightning Bolt here. Once again, we've been talking about that move for a long time.
Yeah.
The thing is, what else do you do? Oh, he's going to play double. Oh, okay.
It's something
And this sets up a possible way better next turn.
I agree, because the Druid can't remove both of them. And even if he does something like, removes one, you've still got the other to handle the Lightning Bolt, or to get the buffs anyway for the Lightning Bolt and all that stuff. So, yeah, playing to win.
Well, he does have this Argent Commander. He could run the Argent Commander in, but of course that could set up a very nice Lightning Storm for the next turn, or even Lightning Bolt.
Definitely could.
And let's see here. Other than that, it's realistically this turn it has to be either Argent Commander or Ancient of Lore. Those are really the only options, I would say.
I don't think Ancient of Lore would be too bad, because you could fish for removal. You would have a 5/5 out on the board that's not too easily dealt with by Shaman. So I kind of like the Ancient of Lore.
Yeah.
I feel like that Argent Crusader, maybe you want to save him a little bit longer, just because you want to get more out of him than just removing an Unbound. Although the thing is if you don't remove the Unbound now, it may be really tough to remove it later. That's the thing, is that one overload and suddenly those guys are out of range for the Argent Commander, and I think that's enough of a scare to make him go for it. I agree with that.
The one thing is, I thought he might end up doing this, like attacking into that and make sure he can kill it off, but that makes it an easy board clear. Yeah, I prefer him not attacking into the Unbound, but the thing is, no matter what move I see for Tice, I feel like Strifecro has a really good counter move. He's got just so many options in his hand right now as far as damage goes.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he can play multiple Overload this turn if he wants to. He can go, if he really wants to buff that guy, he could go Lightning Bolt, or Lightning Sword, Lightning Bolt, and then Flame Tongue and just do a lot of damage to face. He could be more patient, of course.
I'd like to see the Lightning Storm for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a given, but what else is he going to do?
And maybe an Earth Shock with that? Like, I'm trying to think what else you would want to save Earth Shock for.
Yeah, and Lightning Bolts, I mean, that's for burst later on. It's better for face.
Yeah, and it's pretty good against the bigger targets such as Ancient of Lore as well.
Yeah, definitely true.
And he does have Spell Power out now also, so pretty damaging Lightning Bolts in hand.
Oh yeah, man. That's... All right.
We'll see here. I think that Lightning Storm seems pretty obvious because it does get rid of the Harvest Golem main husk. It's just the question, does he use an Earth Shock? Or possibly a Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he might be considering, I thought he might be thinking about for a second there, does he Earth Shock with the Spell Power, but I think Lightning Storm is just so much better just because it makes this guy a 3/5.
Well, the thing is he's going to maybe want to save that Earth Shock for a taunt later on just to make sure that he can get through and do the burst damage when he needs to.
Maybe.
We'll see. Oh, he will actually Lightning Bolt it. Wow, okay, so that's what I was wondering about originally. That was like the first thing I was talking about, just to get that guy really buffed.
6 health is pretty big for a Druid to actually end up dealing with.
It keeps it out of range for everything except for Starfire. That Druid can do even like Thalnos Swipe, it's out of range of. So it's like saying, alright, I want this guy to live for sure, which I guess may not happen if Ragnaros hits him, but...
Well, if Ragnaros hits the totem... he's in trouble.
He got it. Wow.
Wow, and actually Strifecro's hand and mana is not meant to deal with this. Let's see, he can do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He could, if he uses all of the 3 left cards in his hand, get rid of this. That is such card disadvantage, though.
Either way, it's massively game-changing.
I think you've got to go Totem and drop your Flame Tongue and just attack him and have 3 targets out. I can't imagine him using all that other stuff. He doesn't want to use Earth Shock anymore. Wow, if that Rag hadn't hit that, he would be. He would be in some real trouble.
Well, I feel like we saw it, in the other games already. Tice, he's willing to take those big chances to try to get into a winning position. I mean, it's
playing to win, not to
sustain.
Yeah. Wow, that's a tough. This is a tough place to be in, man. Seriously.
Definitely is.
Strifecro in a lot of trouble, but hey, we wanted Tice to win. We want this series to be a bit closer.
Yes. Definitely did.
So let's be happy.
We're gonna get our wish. Yep, kill the totem. And what will Rag hit this time?
Rag, will you be forgiving or not?
No. Ragnaros is never forgiving.
No, Rag, you.
Unless he's my Ragnaros, then he hits the Argent Squire.
All right. I mean, the Azure is probably going to be played that gives 2 spell power. That means that Lightning Bolt could kill the 5/5.
Yeah.
Looks like he was thinking about Argent Commander. Argent plus Lightning Bolt does kill Rag.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice.
It is nice, and being at 13 health, it's something that you definitely need to be thinking about.
Yeah, you don't want to leave that Rag out there too long.
Well, let's see. So he would have, let's see.
Well, you know...
You could also one-shot the Ancient of Lore with Lightning Bolt, too.
Yeah, it's... He's got the options on what to kill here. The thing is, with another totem out, you want Rag to start getting unlucky. I think that's the key to coming back here.
Yeah, he's trying to play the odds.
Yeah, it's like, well, hopefully you hit, you know, my spell power totem.
Yep. And that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you got to play like that sometimes, but... Oh, no, it looks like he actually is going to go for that. Okay.
With the top totem out, I suppose maybe it kind of changed his plan there a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? You might be right about that. That might have changed things and made him think, oh, okay, I can like completely prevent damage likely for this next turn. But and then you draw that.
Yeah, and the thing is he's also got the Keeper of the Grove too, so he can take out the taunt totem and kill 12. The Azure Drake.
Yeah, he can deal like 12 damage right now.
Yeah, it's looking pretty rough for Strifecro.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. So you can just Thalnos swipe and get rid of everything.
Yeah. Thalnos swipe is like so ridiculously good. All right, so I'm gonna just go ahead and do it two-face because he is getting so low at this point.
Yep. And so.
Oh wait,
that's
that is
lethal,
lethal then. Yeah. That was just kind of notice. Okay, so it looks like Ty's gonna make this a little bit closer at least.
All right, the comeback begins. Let's move on to the next game. All right, well, going into game number 5, and it looks like Thijs is starting to make a little bit of a comeback. But now we can see Strifecro's second deck, and it's going to be Miracle Rogue, which is probably, I think a lot of people would arguably say it's the strongest deck in Hearthstone right now. It's been dominating the ladders for, wow, almost like a month, maybe more now.
It's been doing fantastically.
It's been very strong for a really long time, but just lately it seems like it's crushing everything, especially with these little variations we see. So let's pick apart Strifecro's deck a little bit. Some interesting kind of things here and there. He did decide to go with the Assassin's Blade, which is something we see kind of come in and out. Yeah,
and in this particular matchup, there's no weapon kill, so that's going to be an awesome card, especially with his Blade Fury. Only playing 1 Conceal, but he is playing 2 Cold Bloods, so definitely is a deck you can race with. Has that Edwin Van Cleef as well, so we could see a pretty big Van Cleef coming out early on.
Certainly could. Again, you know, 1 Earthen Ring Farseer just to kind of have bodies on the board there. And, of course, 1 Azure Drake because of the Assassin's Blade, generally. And just 1 Blade Flurry, too. So, it's I mean...
2 Fan of Knives.
Yeah, so 2 Fan of Knives is just kind of interesting,
a little bit more card draw as far as spells go. Like, you know, preparation in a Fan of Knives is a lot of cards to draw.
Yeah, it's extremely
when
good.
Gadgetzon's out, of course.
Yeah, not so much otherwise. Yeah, that's right. That is just 1. But
yeah, it's pretty bad.
Well, I mean, I would say either deck has an opportunity. You know, it's really on Thijs to get some blocking in there when he needs it in the late game and get enough stuff out that Strifecro can't remove the blockers and get through. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be it against Strifecro. 1 win away from taking the iHeartU King of the Hill, and we'll see if Thijs can continue the comeback. I think it's time to get in the game. Alright guys, here we are. It is going to be game number 5. Strifecro versus Thijs, and Thijs starting the comeback. It's a good Druid deck. It's a solid Druid deck that can take on a lot of things, and there is going to be the coin into the Wild Growth.
That's nice. That lets him play a turn 2 Azure with the help of that Innervate. Now, as far as Strifecro's hand goes, not very good. Shadow Step and Prep, you don't want this early on, really. So, kind of rough. Probably won't attack here, I would say. I think he needs to save that because when you coin out that means that you have probably a 5-drop or a Harvest Golem in hand. And against either one, the Deadly Poison may really be important.
Yep, and you might need 2 shots of that too. So, do you go Azure here or do you go Druid Claw? Azure, okay.
Yeah,
what's the cycle?
I like the Azure.
And there's a Mark of the Wild.
So
nice.
Here, Strifecro probably going to go Deadly Poison plus Shiv, I would say.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to cycle a card and you get to kill the minions, so...
And, you know, the Backstab is going to be a good card to kind of hold on to in case you get your gadgets on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could decide to just Backstab and then attack with his normal weapon, but with Deadly Poison in your hand, I think it's an easy choice. Yep, he's going to do that. Yeah.
I probably wouldn't want to use quite that many cards, so this is definitely the better play, but still, Strifecro's hand, not the most exciting thing. He does have that Van Cleef and 3 spells that cost 0, but He doesn't want to use them for this.
If he can hold off somehow until he gets that Gadgets and Auctioneer out, but man, there's a Gadgets and Auctioneer, but Thijs is already putting on a lot of pressure. A 4-5 right after the 4-4.
Yeah, that was a perfect draw for him. Basically, that's exactly. And the thing is, he has another big drop next turn.
Yeah.
Now, Strifecro is thinking about not doing anything and taking 4 extra damage and holding on to that backstab to combo with the Gadgets on.
I think that's
hard choice.
It's a hard choice, and you know I think it's okay to save it. I also think it's okay to remove things because of the pressure too. But this is the thing you need to do against Miracle Rogue, though. You need to make them use a lot of their cards before turn 5. You know, before they get that Gadget out there, and he's just going to go ahead and do a little bit of damage.
Any pressure you can get on is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
He does drop the Van Cleef, so that's nice. It gives him some sort of board presence here.
Yeah, I like that a lot actually.
But,
oh, do you just innervate out the?
I think so.
Ancient of Lore here? Yeah, I think going for the card draw would be quite good.
I was thinking of it before, like, do you want to go for a charge? Do you want to go for a 4-6 taunt? But I think that this makes it really easy, because if you innervate out a 5-5, I mean, it can deal with the Van Cleef very easily. It puts on a lot of damage right away.
And it also gives you more options for your later turns, which is pretty vital versus Rogue.
Indeed. And the thing is, you can even Mark of the Wild at the next turn, and then just do even more to face, like 7 to face right there.
Yep.
And that's pretty crazy.
I mean, he really got the ramp portion right away for this deck, which is what you really need against Miracle Rogue. So far, the card's just really flowing well for Thijs, and you know it doesn't really matter too much what Strifecro's hand is right now, just because it's a lot for any rogue to deal with, no matter what hand they have.
Yeah, everything's gone perfectly for him. So we'll see if Strifecro can get something going here. Probably going to start off with a backstab just to get that card draw, and then if he doesn't get anything, he's going to have to do a blind prep.
Got the Cold Blood.
Oh.
And
okay,
we'll see what he decides to do with that. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see what he gets here. He might actually like prep into Cold Blood on the Van Cleef to attack, because he has Leroy and Shadow Step, so he's like getting closer to a kill.
You know, I think you may just kind of have to go for it, because you know at this point 6 mana on, you know, or really 5 mana on, the Druid's going to bring a lot of taunt at you in this matchup. So yeah, I think you kind of just have to go for it. But
oh, he's going to Shadow Step.
Oh, okay.
So that means he's going to try to go off the next turn.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's fine. Still has the Van Cleef out
like
there, and
like
you can trade. Okay, yeah, empty board. Sure.
Okay, so, you know, next turn he's hoping that he can draw a ton of cards. We'll see how that works out for him. This turn for Thijs, you just play the Druid of the Claw, I guess. I mean, there's all these other cards are not. I mean, I guess you could Wild Growth, but that's not. What are you ramping to at this point?
Well, yeah, you want to save it for your turn 10 when you can get the draw off. The what is it, like unstable mana or like excess mana?
Excess mana, I believe it's
excess
called.
mana,
Excessive mana.
Excessive. Either way, you want to save the Wild Growth for turn 10 at this point. Yes, that's.
Ooh, another Gadgets on drawn.
Yeah.
That means that he can let this one die, I guess. But.
Yep.
Anyways, he's gonna go ahead and prep. Gonna start drawing some cards here. See what he can get.
Fan of Knives. Gonna get that double draw that we talked about. Another preparation. Okay, so he continues to combo it. And he's got enough mana to get the SI7 agent out, but just not quite enough damage to kill.
Kind of gross if he tries that.
Yeah.
Alright, so he's gonna prep. Oh, okay, he can actually go ahead and make his weapon and deadly poison with this prep. That's pretty strong.
I think that'd be really good. Yeah, get rid of the 4/3.
You know, it sucks though, he's having to play control so much because Thijs has been able to be so aggressive.
You know, sometimes you just gotta do that with Miracle Rogue though, and when you've already got one
do you go for face or do you clear this?
That's a good question. Okay. I think you still clear. Yeah, because the thing is that they're gonna probably bring more taunt out, which is gonna make it even harder to clear that guy later on, you know?
That's true.
At this point, like you said, you have to kind of play control. You have to save up for that big Leroy combo, which he's got, you know, 4 parts of already. He's got a Shadow Step, Cold Blood, Leroy.
Yeah. He's got an Eviscerate. Shadow Step already. So
you're right, he did.
He's got 16 damage sitting there in hand for the low price of 7 mana.
Yep. He's also got the Eviscerate as well for 4 more to face if he needs to, or it's good taunt clear. So he's still in it. He's still definitely in it.
Yeah. I mean, he's still got a chance here. Like, if the thing is, Thijs doesn't really have all that much going on. He's trying to think right now, do I swipe this? Do I silence it? What goes on? In fact, no, you wouldn't silence it probably. You'd probably ping it and use Wrath.
Yep, that's right.
That seems about right.
I think he's wondering here, you know, do I use my... he doesn't have enough mana to do that, so never mind.
Well, I think Wrath plus his Druid, because he's got to play the Keeper of the Grove. He's got to play that. He has to get a minion on the board. He can't just sit there with nothing there. Miracle Rogue is going to laugh.
Of course,
be in awesome shape. So
yeah, you have to play the creature. It's just, or maybe you don't have to play the creature.
Oh.
Okay, I mean you can just swipe it and get rid of it. There's not a whole lot of other swipe targets out there, you know, for him to worry about. And the thing is next turn he can play that Keeper, you know, with the Mark of the Wild, which I think is much, much better than just throwing it down by itself, where it's going to die to an Eviscerate or something like that.
Now, this Gajazon, I think he's going to play Gajazon. Might he conceal it? Because he could play it in Eviscerate to try to get damage on right away, but I feel like if he conceals it, then he'll just need to live 2 more turns and he might be able to kill his opponent.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he can draw a ton of cards next turn and deal some damage, and then the next turn just kill with Leroy. I think that's probably his best bet, but he's got to know that something big on turn 8 has to be coming out of Theis, which we're looking at it and there's not, but I would be very afraid of that.
Oh man, if I saw 5 cards in my opponent Druid's hand at 8 mana and he's going to draw another one, yeah, I'd be pretty terrified.
Pretty sure.
Yep. And he actually has a second Cold Blood in his hand too, so there's a ton of damage incoming.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, even with that taunt
In fact, we have 16 in hand and 11 on the board. That's 27.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Eviscerate, but he doesn't have enough mana for all that, right?
Oh boy.
Because he needs 7. Yeah.
Oh
He's
boy.
1 mana off of lethal. Oh my god, 50-50.
Yep, and no, it doesn't hit the Auctioneer, but that's still 4 health away from death for Strifecro. Oh boy.
But I think Strifecro is
I think he's
probably just gonna die, right?
well, let's see. Let's add up the damage, which is something that we're bad at, but let's give it a try anyway. All right, so let's see. Leroy's Shadow Step is gonna be
12,
right? Plus Cold Blood is 4, so that's 16 plus 8 on the board. 16 plus 8 is 24, plus 3, 27.
And the thing
plus
is,
4 is going to be 31.
Yeah, but he's
does he
1
have enough
mana
mana?
off.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough mana. Wow.
It's and don't forget he used both preps, so there's no way for him to gain mana from here.
Yep.
He has to try to go off with spells because he's just like.
Ah, the agony and the ecstasy of playing a Miracle Rogue, huh?
Is he just giving up here? I guess.
It's yeah, you do whatever you can. You're like, you get them. This is a pride thing, you know. You get them as low as you can, and then you're like, well, at least I almost got you dead.
Do you maybe sap the rag and hope, like?
Oh yeah, sapping.
Kill the rag,
sapping the rag would be okay. Yeah. Well, he's just gonna do it, unless we totally miscalculate the damage. But I think we got it right. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
Okay, yeah, he's 1 mana off.
Yeah,
as we said. Okay.
1 mana short.
So yeah, he's dead. That's that. Ty's gonna be able to take this one down. Is he doing a comeback, Noah?
He's definitely doing a comeback, Artosis. He is now 2-3 in this King of the Hill, and that means we've got an exciting Game 6 coming up. Alright guys, well, this has suddenly gotten very interesting. Theis has won the last 2 games in a row, staving off death for now, and bringing it to almost a tie series in this best of 7.
Yeah.
But now we have the Druid Mirror, and Strifecro's brought a pretty interesting version of the Watcher Druid, I guess you could say, sort of.
No one is.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. It's got Watchers in it, but it's not really Watcher Druid. I don't. It's interesting. I like it.
Yeah. Like he's got the Watchers, but some of the different things that we see here, we have 2 Force of Nature, we have 2 Argent Commanders, a Gnomish Inventor as well.
Yeah. Card draw, burst.
And only 1 Wrath, by the way.
Only one. Oh, only 1 Wrath. Huh.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
But you know what? Strifecro is like the father of Druid. This is the original Druid player from way back in the beginning of the beta. He's really revolutionized the game quite a bit with his deck. So I guess we'll just have to see what this deck does exactly. The card I'm most excited about, by the way, is Gnomish Inventor. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. And he's also got the Black Knight in there too, I think, which is going to be quite decent against Theis.
Yeah, for sure.
So, well, we'll see what happens. Time to get into it. See if Strifecro can take the King of the Hill, or if Theis will tie it up. Time to move into game number 6. Alright guys, here it is, game number 6, and will Strifecro finally take this match, or will Theis tie things up? It's Druid versus Druid.
Looking at these opening hands, I love Tice's opening hand. He's got Wild Growth, Chillwind Yeti, Druid of the Claw. That is an amazing turn 2, 3, and 4.
Mark of the Wild is going to be pretty strong too if his creatures make it.
Yeah, if they live.
Which they probably will, looking at Strifecro's hand right now.
Strifecro has like some pretty good plays in here.
He does.
For instance, he can coin out Keeper to silence that next turn, then go 4, 5, and 6. He's going to have good drops. Looks like both these guys are going to basically nail their mana curves.
I think so, yeah. And I mean, the thing is even if something happens to this other Yeti, well, don't worry. Tice has a second Yeti for later in the game. He's got a reserve Yeti. It's okay.
Don't worry. The Yeti is not going extinct. It's not even on the endangered list at the moment.
Second Yeti already.
Second Yeti already.
Looking steady with a second Yeti already.
Wow.
Mom spaghetti.
Yeti is ready.
That's right. Second Yeti.
All right, so Strifecro here, I think he's considering, do I silence my own Watcher and attack? Do I play a Harvest Golem and just get a little bit more board presence? I feel like silencing is what I would choose here.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to have your own 4/5 out and kind of be on the offense with one additional minion.
Well, in Druid versus Druid, too, I mean, every little bit of damage you can get done early is pretty nice, especially with these two decks not really running any healing aside from Ancient of Lore. If you can get some damage in quickly, it's a good thing. So
I would love to see him go ahead and drop this Druid of the Claw.
Yeah.
Like, charge him, use the Yeti to kill off the 4/2, the 2/4 rather, sorry. And, you know, just have like a 4/3 and a 4/4 out. That's like, well, the thing is that could be dealt with, actually. But the thing is that if the Watcher kills one of them, then he has the opportunity to go ahead and, well, he's going to do something else. But I was going to say he could play the Yeti plus Hero Power to kill it. But anyways.
This is interesting. All right.
Yeah,
and he's kind of
saying,
saying,
really expect that, but I guess that's actually makes it an awkward situation, doesn't it?
It does. What's super awkward about it for Strifecro is that he doesn't have a Wrath to deal with it. He only has one in his deck. Yes. So, yep, you brought this on yourself, Strifecro.
Wow, you are just cold. Well, obviously you could use like Hero Power plus this guy to kill that. So actually, it seems like this has turned into a pretty decent play.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be 6 damage to Strifecro, or 5 rather, I mean. But no, he's just going to let it go through. Okay. Well.
Alright, so the Yeti, I think, you know what, with the swipe, he could actually use swipe plus Hero Power to kill that off. He could go ahead and, I mean, he's got a lot of different options here for sure.
Swipe plus Hero Power for 6 damage to the face of Strifecro. Would work out.
Well, I was thinking like swipe Hero Power. If he does that to the Yeti, he can kill it. But I feel like you want to build the board a little bit more here. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's fine to do something like a, Druid of the Claw as well too. But do you think you would do it just in taunt form, just to get a bigger, beefier board out?
I don't really like that so much.
Yeah. It looks like he's going to go.
I like using it as a charge later on. Yeah. But. We'll see. It looks like he's going to just skip this 2/3, going for face instead.
Well, I mean, really, any mirror matchup you look at, tempo is so important, and if you can get that tempo going, if you can get that life edge, and make your opponent respond to you rather than you responding to your opponent each turn, that's so vital. So he's just trying to get that going, and I think he's done a pretty good job of it. Again, no Wrath for Strifecro, which makes removing this pretty awkward.
Well, he has the Black Knight, but that's a turn early. He doesn't quite have the mana right now, so that's kind of rough.
And a 6/3 isn't a good target for a Black Knight anyway. I mean, 3 health. You should have a different way to deal with that.
Unfortunately, he does not.
He does not. No.
And the thing is, I think Tice knew that, and that's why he attacked, because he said, you know what, you didn't deal with this last turn. 5 mana ain't changing a thing.
Exactly.
You are not dealing with this turn either.
Unless you top deck it, that's it's going to be another 6 damage next
turn. And if
turn.
you want to rely on top decking things, I mean, Tice has outplayed you. So
yeah, and 6 damage too. I mean, if he puts on a Druid, if Tice is thinking, well, if he were to put down a Druid of the Claw in taunt form or something like that, I can just kill it. We can kill really anything that comes out with it too.
All right, gets a swipe, so he will eventually be able to deal with this. I wouldn't be. Wait a minute. Oh, okay, never mind. He doesn't have enough mana for that. I was going to say you could maybe clear the board with that Force of Nature, but I don't know if you want to leave the Drake out because things like swipe become so powerful.
Yeah, well, he's going to go for the Drake of his own, and there's a Wrath. Wow.
Good
that's
draw.
a 4 damage Wrath.
Good draw.
And I guess you just go for face again.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, that tempo
Look
you
how low
make
he's
them
getting.
deal with you. It's extremely low. Yeah, he's going to be down to 16 now.
That is a possible lethal next turn if Strifecro doesn't do anything.
Yep. Force of Nature in the hand. And a Force of Nature in the hand is worth 3 treants on the board, apparently.
Wow,
Yep.
you are
as
really
the old
good.
saying goes.
See why you get the big bucks.
My grandmother always told me.
Do you Black Knight here to gain more board advantage?
You know,
do you go for a swipe?
As sad as it is, you may want to actually Black Knight here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could do something like Argent, but
he's only got 6 mana to deal with. That's the thing, is that this board is so annoying for Strifecro to handle.
Swipe doesn't look any good. I think you have to Black Knight because other than that, you just Argent into it, and that's not as strong because then you have a 4/2 instead of a 4/5.
It's
silly.
It's just gonna get cleared too quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's see the Black Knight. It doesn't look like there's really anything else going on for him right now. You know, this Mark of the Wild on that Yeti, that has been such a powerful move. That has dominated this game.
Indeed. Yep, and there's finally the Black Knight. He's going to deal with the Yeti, but he's down to 16 health already. Knees weak, palms just sweaty.
Well, his knees are weak and his palms should be sweaty because he's just about deady.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this.
All right, let's do some math here. Let's do what we do best.
I think we do math so badly we shouldn't.
He could do a total of 11 damage. What's that?
I think that he should just play a big taunt, play a Druid of the Claw in taunt mode, go for face,
totally.
Because that makes an easy lethal next turn.
Yep,
if
set
you
up
just
another
have Drake
lethal
left over.
Yeah.
I think that's really good.
He could even innervate and play both Druids of the Claw in taunt mode, and there's like nothing that Strifecro can deal with it. That would just
that's really smart.
That would be like the death blow right there. 2 Druids of the Claw is 4/6 taunts. Nothing is gonna get through that.
No, certainly not. In fact, he could play one and then charge another and deal 8 damage.
Very true.
That's definitely a possibility. One, I think, and the thing is, he could charge both as well, I guess.
Yeah, that's true too. What we're basically saying is that Tice is gonna win the game.
Yeah, it's basically really looking that way.
What we're saying, and you know,
he just wants to go for face.
Yeah, and this is totally fine. There's no mana for the combo, so he's got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, there's doesn't look like there's any way for Strifecro to do this from here at 7 mana. Look, he has the combo in his hand now, but that's
but
not
enough mana for it. Yeah,
he can actually clear the board though.
He can, but with no taunt to put down to protect himself next turn, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, he's dead.
The game is over. Strifecro just doesn't know it yet. He's dead, but he's
gonna make the best move he can, but
yeah.
No, yeah. Well, you know what? I guess if he no, there's no way.
It's not gonna happen.
There's nothing here, though. I can't do it.
No taunt plus Force of Nature in Tice's hand. Yeah, that is GG. If he had a taunt, maybe he could live another turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Tice has almost no cards left in hand here, but that big committal on board like that, when Strifecro will look at that and say, you know that I can remove most of this at least, right? And maybe even all of it.
I'm sure he knows.
He's probably like, uh-oh.
Yeah, not to mention, you don't even need the combo. There we go. So Swipe, he's going to go ahead and remove the board, it looks like, but it doesn't make a bit of difference, guys. The game is over.
It certainly is. Saving his Force of Nature for here, dealing some damage to Tice's face.
Yep.
But Tice gonna somehow, with this Druid deck, go 3-0.
Yeah.
And tie this up. We're actually gonna go to a game number 7 of Strifecro against Tice.
How awesome is this? I can't wait to see this final epic game 7. Let's move on to the final game. Alright guys, well, it now really is a moment of truth. Game 7 between Strifecro and Tice, and this has been a really exciting match, man. Tice down 0-3, coming back 3 games in a row with his Druid deck, and now it's Handlock versus Druid, one of the greatest control matchups in all of Hearthstone, and I don't know, who do you think is going to take this one?
I gotta go with Strifecro. I feel like overall the Handlock deck beats Druid, and if we look at this Druid build, he does have a big game hunter, so that's really nice. But he doesn't have like a Sylvanas. He doesn't have the Black Knight, right? Yeah, no, he's not playing the Black Knight. And some of these other cards like Karn are a little bit slow and not as useful against Handlock. So I've got to go with Strifecro here. I think that this deck, if I was him, this is the deck I'd want to use to kill off this Druid deck.
I think we've seen time and time again in Hearthstone that Handlock is kind of like the be-all, end-all in safe, I need to win this game kind of deck. So we'll see if he can do it. Whoever wins this is Hearth U King of the Hill champion. We'll see if this gets his, or Tice gets a second win, or if Strifecro claims the top spot.
Let's see.
Time to get in the game. And it is time for game number 7 between Strifecro and Thijs. Handlock versus Druid. And who is going to take it? Let's take a look at this first starting hand. Strifecro with neither of the two cards you really want to see in Handlock, but he's got some time to draw. And he's got two blockers as well, so, or two taunt enablers. So I feel like it's still a pretty okay hand.
Yeah, no one really has anything that makes me stand up and say, "Oh, this is exciting." So, I mean, we'll just see how these early turns develop. But I would say in a situation like this, where there's not a lot of early board presence for Thijs, that goes into Strifecro's favor in and of itself.
I almost thought you were going to go full Kool-Aid Man when you said "ooh" for a second there and be like, "Ooh, yeah."
No.
Come through a wall or something.
You know, I was a fan of Kool-Aid back as a kid, not nowadays, though.
I don't know. It's I always liked those they were like a plastic bottle and you like squeezed it to like shoot out the. I don't remember what those were called, but yeah, but they were great. Better than Kool-Aid.
Indeed.
Suck at Kool-Aid.
Well, Strifecro not really drawing into any of the cards that he wants to see here. Like, he wants his Twilight Drakes, he wants his Mountain Giants. Doesn't really have them yet, but it's okay. It's not like there's a lot of pressure under him. He doesn't. Just because he doesn't have it doesn't mean he's like about to lose the game or something.
Yeah, he's got his blocker out. He's going to be able to sustain for a little while at least. And what will we see here? Coin? Nah, not really much to coin out.
You could get the Stampeding Kodo to kill off the 2/3.
That is true.
Not too bad. I mean, the thing is, the Stampeding Kodo doesn't have a lot of targets.
Yeah, when else are you really going to use it? That's true. Like, that's a really good point.
All you'll kill are defenders and those, and maybe owls. You know, that's about it.
That's a really good point.
But do you want to use the coin right now as well? Maybe you want to save that a little bit longer?
I mean, if he plays the Yeti, what does he really have to worry about? You know, I mean, it's going to stick around probably. He's not, you know, obviously Strifecro's not going to silence his own Ancient Watcher to attack it or anything like that, but I think you're right. I think we are going to see the Kodo. Yeah. It makes the most sense. You get the most out of it.
Yeah, and
even if it's not
really
a whole lot.
Saving the coin, I don't know if it's going to do that much for you. This is obviously a very slow start from Strifecro. It's quite clear that he doesn't have Mountain Giants or Twilights in his hand.
Right,
so,
right.
You know, just building the board a little bit for Thijs.
Yeah, if Strifecro would have had one of those two cards, you would have seen it on the board by now, hands down. And so the question is, you know, what do you do now if you're Strifecro? How do you kind of
I think
stabilize a little bit? I think you do have to just kind of draw. Yeah.
He could do like Hellfire and then Mortal Coil on the 2/1 token, but I don't think that that's worthwhile right now. This is not a board that you're really scared of.
No, not really.
Probably just drawing a card is the best he can do.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time. He is in absolutely no rush. And the thing is you can let your opponent build up their board a bit when you're playing Handlock because of things like Shadow Flame and Hellfire and stuff like that. You've got a lot of good AoE clears. So
if anything truly scary comes out, he has it Siphon Soul.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Strifecro really shouldn't be worrying too much at the moment.
Thijs, though, if I was Thijs, I'd be getting a little bit nervous.
Well, yeah, you need to get a little bit more board control done early. And wow, he's actually going to Soulfire Mortal Coil. Okay.
He does lose the Molten Giant, which kind of sucks.
That really sucks, actually.
You know, you don't necessarily need every Giant, especially against Druid, because it's really hard for them to remove such big minions.
Yeah. No, man, every Giant is precious.
To some degree, absolutely.
Okay, just the Azure Drake in the cycle and getting a little bit of a tougher board out. And when he just saw that Soulfire used, too, he's going to feel pretty confident putting that 4/4 out. But there's a Mountain Giant for Strifecro.
Yeah, he could do draw into Mountain Giant. Be pretty strong.
Yep.
I don't think that there's a pressing need to kill off that Azure because...
No, not really.
It's like he would need like 2 Wraths or a Swipe and a Wrath to actually kill his Molten, and if he's going to that great of a length, I guess okay.
Yeah, I mean, sure, man. Use all those cards right away, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the most likely scenario. It's not the scariest scenario. So he is going to drop this down after the card draw.
Yep. Drew to the Claw. What else do we have here?
Well, you know what? He could go for, like, a Blood Mage Thalnos and then hit for...
Well, he could Thalnos swipe the Ancient Watcher and then use his 2 minions on the Mountain Giant to clear the board. Yeah. And then he would end up with his 2/1. And he would also have Thalnos, obviously, too. So, is it worth it?
Well, I mean,
maybe, I don't know.
As soon as you start getting attacked for 8, you're going to die pretty quick. You know, everyone nowadays plays the Leroy.
For sure.
You know, they play the Power Overwhelming.
10 mana, 20 damage, yep.
10 mana, 20 damage, man. It's pretty sick.
Yep, you got to worry about it. Yeah. I mean, if you're not going to put down any big blockers or anything like anything like that this turn to try to like sustain, I think you do just down no swipe here.
Yeah. Anything else? The thing is, if he were to play like a big taunt or something, then a Siphon Soul would hit it, and Strifecro would run in for 8, which is like way too much. So it looks like he is going to go for this this other original plan.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly obvious play, but of course, you know, when you're actually playing the game, you need to think about that, and then you need to go, okay, now is this really what I want to do? And there we go. All right.
Does clear that board off for Strifecro.
Pretty basic stuff. Yeah. And so Strifecro,
just out of life range to play that Molten, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, even if he life taps, he's still not going to have quite enough. Nope.
Well, no really good plays here, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could Hellfire to get yourself a little bit lower, but that's... you don't run too much of a risk doing that
too much, right?
Yeah. Well,
I guess, you know,
something.
Hellfire, you got to do something this turn?
If you're going to do something this turn, it's going to be Hellfire.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think so. I mean, I could see him draw a card and then decide if he wants to Hellfire.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's going to do that first. Soulfire. All right. Doesn't really change things. Yeah, I think you Hellfire.
Could Soulfire himself to get that Molten.
Oh, he could. next level plays right there, yeah.
And he draws a card. Wait a minute. If Thijs actually draws... Okay. I was going to say, if he drew... The last piece was common because he drew off that Blood Mage.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
That would have been crazy. Actually, Thijs is getting really close to being able to lethal here.
Yeah, he sure is.
Well, Strifecro has to set something up next turn. And he's going to be able to. He has the Molten Giant in hand. He has Defender Vargas in hand. He definitely can get some taunts up.
Right.
But, you know, something like a BGH comes out and his day is ruined.
Yeah. Well, it's a story of any Warlock, right?
He discarded a Molten earlier, and he died. A Mountain Giant died. So he has one Mountain, one Molten left, and then of course he has some other.
2 Twilight Drakes, but you need to worry about silence a little bit from the Keeper of the Grove with that.
Sure. And of course Leroy combos and various little crappy minions like Defender.
Yeah,
maybe his BGH can go the distance. It's probably not.
So if you're Thijs right now, and you know that if you play a big taunt, it's just going to get Siphon Souled, do you just play aggressive and go for the face here?
You mean do a charge minion?
Yeah, maybe.
I think. Okay, it looks like he's trying to draw
better,
into
actually.
it.
Yeah, I like this better.
Yeah, you don't want to give him like free Molten Giant.
Yeah.
But I think this just sets up an obvious Siphon Soul for Strifecro.
I think so too, and there's no real way of avoiding it, but...
and he can just barely not go Molten Siphon Soul.
Yeah.
Just barely.
Too bad he doesn't have a second Mortal Coil. That would be pretty nice.
Oh yeah, that would be nice. You have to Siphon Soul here, right? Unless he wants to play with fire and throw down a Molten and give it taunt.
Yeah, you do. You do have to Siphon Soul.
The thing is, he's got to be... Well, if you do that, that stops the combo from killing you as well.
Yeah.
Which isn't in his hand yet, but that's 14 damage from an empty board. Good thing to keep in mind. And the thing is, if he Siphon Souls, that makes the Molten Giant a little bit further away. Is Thijs going to do damage next turn? If not, I mean, that's 16 life he's at. Can't do a whole lot with it.
I mean, he's looking at, like, doing something like Hellfire, Soulfire, and then being able to play the Mountain Giant, or Molten Giant rather, for free. Although with only one Molten Giant, it's not, you're not going to get the best blocking out of it. You want at least 2 blockers here.
Alright, he is going to Siphon Soul.
I think that's a good choice. And then you can just life tap too if you want to, because 14 health you should still be safe, but he's just going to play it ultra safe then.
Alright, yeah, he's got to be careful because, again, 14 health, that's where you die.
Yep,
so
exactly.
He's being really careful.
Oh yeah, you're right, yeah, of course.
Alright, so we're going to play double Chillwind Yeti. That's pretty scary stuff. And of course, he's still super close to being able to go off. He has that Savage Roar, he has an Innervate in hand.
Pretty comfortable position for Thijs and a pretty awful position for Strifecro.
I think you actually have to Siphon Soul one of these guys.
Get a little bit more healing, but just not having those Giants is hurting him so much.
Thijs can just top deck a win at this point.
Yeah.
He just, if he
could
just...
he definitely can.
Oh, man. Maybe... No, that's not enough mana. Oh, wait, no, he could. If he were to, like, life tap and get his, what's the name of that card I can never remember? Shadowflame.
Shadowflame.
He could, like, go Owl plus Power Overwhelming Shadowflame. And that would clear the board.
That is true. But if you want to play for the win, you know, are you going to get an opportunity to do a lot of damage otherwise?
Yeah,
I guess you die if you don't do it, but...
It's pretty tough, but all right.
It's Hellfire.
This is how he's choosing to do it. Let's see it.
Oh,
what
man.
Is this? What does he do now?
He's got 5 mana left.
I think
can't.
Did he mess that up?
Well, I mean, I guess he could. Yeah, maybe. I mean, he could Soulfire himself, and then. Because yeah, he doesn't really have any blocking, does he? Oops.
I think. I don't know what this play is exactly. Like I would have.
And what do you do?
Oh, he's taking a huge risk, I guess.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, so is this lethal? Yeah, it is. It looks like Tyson's going to be able to win this.
Okay.
Yeah, because he can play a charge minion, and that's 8, and then plus the Savage Roar is going to be lethal.
Well, that's the tricky thing, is that there really was not much of a way out of it for Strifecro anyway.
Not the greatest set of cards to work with, but Tice, he played it patiently, he played it well.
Certainly did, and Strifecro, you know, an extremely talented player, but King of the Hill, just not quite his series, is it? That's his second loss now, and made it close, but GG, and Tice becomes a 2-time King of the Hill champion. Alright guys, well wow, after a 4-0 comeback from Tice, he takes Game 7 and becomes a 2-time King of the Hill champion on iHearthU. Strifecro, so close, but yet so far, man. It's rough.
When he went up 3-0 with that Shaman deck, and he had behind it a Miracle Rogue, a Handlock, and Druid, which is his favorite class, that's like, it's hard to imagine Strifecro losing this, but Tice came back with this Druid deck.
Yeah, really well played. The Druid deck is pretty awesome. And I guess we'll have to see if next week he can keep it rolling and become a 3-time champion, or if he's going to get knocked out by our next challenger on the iHearthU King of the Hill. But I guess we got our 7 games, so we got what we wanted out of it, right?
Hey, it was a close series, a great comeback indeed, so congrats once again to Tice.
Yep.
It sucks that Strifecro has lost in the King of the Hill. It's
rough,
just not his little event yet.
I guess not. It's surprising to see a player like Strifecro get knocked out twice, but hey, I suppose maybe 3rd time's a charm, and whenever that's going to be, someday he'll be back. But for now, that is it for the iHearthU King of the Hill. Once again, Donartosis, happy to cast for you guys, and we will see you next week, so don't miss it. See you then.